Hey everybody, this is Dead Winter Dead with another Battlefield 4 video for you. Today we're taking a look at something that we have looked at several times on my channel, and that is Gullmud Railway Rush Attack. Now you might be saying, Dad, you've shown us this before, why are you showing this again, blah blah blah. And it has nothing to do with this being my favorite map, because it's not my favorite map on any mode. It just happens that it shows up in the damn rotation, so you know what? I play it when it shows up. But I also I want to hammer home. Look, guys, this is Rush. You got to learn how to rush. You have to learn how to rush. And in saying that, you're going to see me arm and rearm, and watch this. Sneaky tank. Look, how did I not see that tank coming? But yeah, sneaky tank. I don't know if that was an enemy tank that ran me over, or if it was a friendly who was driving the tank and then bailed out of it and flattened me. I don't even remember, but it was pretty hilarious. I was like, how the hell did a 40-ton machine of war sneak up on me? Unbelievable. I must be completely deaf. But anyway, back to my point. I want to talk about the game of Rush, and not only talk about this match, which I end up having a good match, but I just want to talk about the fundamental flaws in this obsession with 64 players. You know, before the new generation of consoles. Oh, by the way, did you see that Jeep? Yeehaw! Before the new generation of consoles, excuse me, there were the old consoles, the Xbox 360 and the PS3, and they had a limited number of players that could play on the maps. And the biggest thing, people were like, oh, wouldn't it be so great? Be so great to have 64 players. 64 players, blah, 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 blah. And even now, if you listen to a couple of PS4 commentators, there's some PS4 commentators on YouTube who are constantly bitching, like, well, how come we don't get 64 players on all the game modes, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, you know, be careful what you wish for. And the reason I say that is that not every game mode needs to have 64 players. And Rush is one of them. How many times have you guys tried to play Rush and been like, you know, and gotten into a 64-player server? You know, that's 32 v 32, and if you do the math again, that's 16 v 16 on each MCOM. It's ridiculous. If there were maybe 4 MCOMs spread out throughout each cycle, each level of MCOMs, that might make more sense for 64 players, but I find that 64-player Rush is just a clusterfuck. The sweet spot tends to be between 12, excuse me, not 12, but 24 and 32. The sweet spot is between 24 and 32. And this match, I think, is even smaller than that. I think it's like 8v8, and then by the time we get to the end, it might be 12v12. But the sweet spot for Rush is 24 and 32 between those two player counts. Total for the server. So, you know, and a lot of you might be like, well, you know, that doesn't make sense. You know, every game is better with more players. No, it's not. Conquest Large is awesome with 64 players. Obliteration is pretty cool with 64 players. It's friggin' chaotic. It's you know, if you want just a chaotic, crazy time, 64 players is the way to go. But Rush is not one of those games, and for the reason that I just stated, you only have 2 NCOMs, and you have 32 players on each team, which means if every player, and I mean every single player out of those 64, is either rushing aggressively and knows what they're doing, and defending aggressively and knows what they're doing, that's 16 players on each MCOM. 16 players on each MCOM that are either trying to attack or defend. And that's just like, imagine going 16 v 16 on one flag. Just imagine it. Like, let's say there was a map mode called one flag map mode, and imagine 16 v 16. It would be a clusterfuck. Like, you know, you kill 3 or 4 guys, and then, you know, you get shot, and then the bad guys kill 3 or 4 guys, and then they get shot. Like, it would just be this back and forth. It's just this war of attrition. And you'll see on this next set of MCOMs. I'm getting a hose on this second set, but you'll see on the next set, I go back and forth. Go back and forth and back and forth. I think I armed the MCOMs a total of 3 times, maybe 4 times. But I go back and forth and back and forth, and on several of those MCOMs, I take on 2 or 3 enemy players, and I'm able to put them down. And the reason I'm able to do that is because I'm watching my minimap. I have the right loadout. I mean, I'm carrying an M249 with a suppressor. So right here, I arm the first MCOM. I'm shooting blindly because I don't know where this guy is. I don't know where he is, but he ends up getting a Hail Mary at the last minute and taking me down. And they end up disarming this MCOM. Okay. You know, I got the Claymore kill because somebody just blindly ran at the MCOM. Whatever. But they defuse it. Excuse me. Alright. So, I spawn in. Now, I know, because of the last kill cam, there was a ton of guys over at the Bravo MCOM, so I can immediately run. This isn't me being blindly just insane, like, I'm going to run Crazy Town. It's me going, okay, I know that on the kill cam, they were all over at the Bravo MCOM, so I know the Alpha is going to be relatively undefended. Now, I've got the Alpha MCOM screaming, so I know they're probably going to be headed that way. But I come over here. The Bravo MCOM is relatively undefended. Why? Because they're probably all headed towards the Alpha MCOM. These are all things that I'm thinking about as I'm playing the game. They defused it, the Alpha. They defuse it, which means I know that they are right there. I engage and take down 2 enemy players. Re-arm the Alpha. Okay, I'm not sure how many times I've armed these 2 MCOMs so far. I think it's like up to 3 or whatever. But I've got both of them going at the same time. I see the Bravo get defused, so I know there are bad guys on the Bravo. Turn the corner, my suppressed weapon, take down 3 bad guys. That was 3v1. Excuse me, actually I got a suppression kill on that last one. But it was at least 2v1. And I armed the MCOM again. This isn't because I'm some super ninja player or I'm some badass guy or I know all the tricks and all the secrets. It's because I'm watching what the game is telling me. MCOM defused. Alright, well if the MCOM was just defused a second ago, I know there are bad guys within 10 meters of the MCOM or so. So I know that when I move back to that area, and right here, this is just me using my minimap. I can see them moving around the wall. But watch those cues. MCOM disarmed. MCOM disarmed. Plant claymores and remember where they are. So when the claymore goes off, you're like, oh yeah, that's right. I had that claymore in the left side building on the back side door. There was just a bad guy there. Chances are he's got a buddy behind him. And these type of tactics are incredibly useful and very easy to use and manipulate to your advantage when you don't have this excuse my language, this clusterfuck of 32 players slugging it out for 2 tiny little MCOMs. So I mean that is my argument. Rush is, it's not a very fun game when you have 64 players. Now some people are going to argue with me and be like, well, you're just doing it wrong, or you're playing on the wrong maps, or whatever. And that's fine. I mean, that's your opinion. And if you were able to successfully have rush games where you have fun and the teams are evenly matched, I'm not talking about like, oh, every time I play a 64-player rush defend, I win. That's not a balanced game mode. Of course you're going to win on defense, because if the teams are evenly matched, let's say the teams are evenly matched, there's not any quote-unquote beast players on either side. Teams are evenly matched, you got 32 players vying for 2 tiny little MCOM points. Who has the advantage? Obviously the defenders. Why? Because the defenders have unlimited tickets. They can die as many times, they can be as dumb and as reckless as they want, and as long as they keep those MCOMs either defended or defuse them when they become armed, they will win, period. All they have to do is defeat the enemy by killing them over and over and over again, by depleting their tickets. That's all they have to do. That's really all they have to do. So it's not a balanced game mode in the sense that like, oh, I play 64-player rush all the time, and when I'm on defense, I win. Well, yeah, I win all the time on 64-player rush defense too, because even if you have, 7 players who are running off, playing playing sniper, you know, and doing that whole thing, you still have, what is that? You still got 25 guys who are going to be on the front lines defending the MCOMs. So the lower ticket count allows for better use of tactics, better use of gadgets, and the ability for the smarter player to be successful. You guys know I'm an older guy. My Twitch reflexes are not, you know, I'm not some 15-year-old kid who's fucking do all over the place. And my Twitch reflexes are bad. That's just because I'm older, you know, I'm a father, and I've got a lot of broken bones and all kinds of crap from serving in the military. It's just, I'm an old guy. I move a little bit slower than you know, the younger people. But because I'm smarter, I use things like my mini maps and game cues and you know, audio cues from enemy players and from friendly players. I'm able to manipulate that into a victory, or at least into gameplay that I'm proud to say, like, look, I was a team player, I did the best I could, but you know, we just couldn't get it done, or I did the best I could and whatever, I ended up at the bottom of the scoreboard. At least I can say, look, I was in there playing the objective, supporting my squad, supporting my team, doing what I have to do. So I'm going to get off my soapbox about the whole 64-player thing. You guys have heard that, and if you're pissed off at me, that's cool. Tell me about it in the comments. Say, Dad, you're an idiot. 64-player rush rules. I tend to disagree with you, but whatever. That's what this is for. So, you know, I mean, just we're going to talk about exactly how am I successful? You know, how am I successful? I mean, for those of you who are subscribers, you know, I'm sure you probably looked me up on Battlelog. My stats are very average. You know, how can an average player dominate a scoreboard? You know, how can an average player, you know, I mean, you saw that third set of MCOMs. I went back and forth. I beat that team into the ground. Not to toot my own horn, but I dusted them into the dirt. And I must have armed those MCOMs, what, 3, 4, 5 different times and got destroys on them? How can an average player do that? It's simple. Situational awareness, listening to your audio cues, watching your kill cam, because kill cams tell volumes about enemy placement, support disposition, where vehicles or assets and equipment might be. They tell volumes about that. You're not just looking at the enemy player that killed you, just skipping away, going, ha ha, I got you. You know, turn around, see what's going on. Is there a mortar there? Was there a claymore there? Was there a spawn beacon behind him in the background? Was there a motion sensor or a tugs? Did you see a bipoded up support player guarding the lane? Watch those kill cams, because those kill cams, that's a live feed. You know, that's not a pre-recorded thing. That's a live feed into the world of the guy who just killed you. And granted, of course, the focus is the guy who killed you because he's highlighted and doing a little, you know, victory dance. But the game is going on in that recorded, or not recorded, but the game is going on in that session. So pay attention to what's going on in that kill cam. You will glean valuable amounts of information from that kill cam. Listen to your audio cues. Listen to what the game has to say. MCOM has been defused. Well, crap. I was just at the Bravo MCOM. I just armed it. I was headed toward the Alpha MCOM. Someone just defused Bravo. All right. Maybe I should turn around, head back to Bravo. And you know that if someone just defused Bravo, there's at least one guy there. Let's set up this situation. You arm Bravo. You plant a claymore. All right? Then you get a notification that, boom, claymore went off and killed somebody. But Bravo was defused anyway. Okay, so you know that there's at least one dead guy and one alive guy there. And where there's 2 guys, there may be 3. There may be 4 guys. All right? So you know going in, I'm probably going to be outnumbered. All these things give valuable information about what's going on around you. Okay? And it's not that clusterfuck of 32 players clashing over a single MCOM or over 2 MCOMs. You're able to move tactically, you're able to make decisions, you're able to outflank people effectively, you're able to use pieces of equipment like the suppressor. Now, what does the suppressor do? The suppressor cuts your muzzle velocity pretty much in half for every weapon. So if your muzzle velocity is 650 meters per second, you add a suppressor, now your muzzle velocity is 325 meters per second. What does that mean? How does that affect you on the battlefield? That means the rounds coming out of your barrel are going to move half as fast. They're going to move slower across the battlefield. You may have to compensate a little bit more. You're not going to have this these rounds that are just laser beaming out. They're going to be kind of taking their time. All right, taking their time across the battlefield. That's what that means. So you have to take that into account. Well, and then you need to weigh that. Do I want my bullets to move slower but stay off the minimap, or do I want to be able to kill instantaneously with my weapons but show up on the minimap? I mean, it's just the way it is. So we're coming to the end of this round. I hope you guys enjoyed it. As you can see, we just destroyed these guys, but it was a fun. It wasn't just a steamroll. We didn't just steamroll them, and I did pretty well. And how did I do well? Because I paid attention to the battlefield. My name's Dead Winter Dead. Thanks for watching.